In this video, I'm going to take you on a very special pub crawl.
London has several pub groups like Fuller's, Green King, and the notorious Wetherspoons, but one group has stood out to me, and that's Mr. Fogg's collection. There are 10 Mr. Foggs across central London, and I'm going to take you to all of them. I'm going to point out what makes each one unique and try a distinctive cocktail in each pub. And since this is a pub crawl, I'll meet up with a special guest, Thomas Vosper of Historic Pub Crawls, for a bit of the tour. So let's go! We're in Mayfair on Bruton Lane. You might have a little bit of trouble finding this at first, but your effort will be rewarded.
So we're going to start here, and I'll tell you the reason why.
Salutations!
Thank you!
Welcome, come in!
Mr. Fogg's pubs have a theme that ties them all together. It's the story of Around the World in 80 Days, featuring Phileas Fogg and his companion Passepartout. The story starts here in Mayfair at a pub called Mr. Fogg's Residence.
So Mr. Fogg opened his home to his friends and acquaintances, and those were the ones that he made the wager with that he could make it around the world in 80 days.
The interior is made to feel as prestigious as Fogg's own flat, with top-level hospitality and plentiful food and drink. So let's try one. Any drink off of a Mr. Fogg's customized menu is going to be colorful, creative, and potent.
You saw Otto make the bath time bliss for me, and just like any Mr. Fogg's, you're going to get a really good, unique drink. Let's give it a taste. Wow, very citrusy. It's not over sweet. It's really nice. Doesn't taste like bathwater, that's for sure.
And as you might expect when you go to somebody's house, there's even some fun and games.
Freya, can you tell me what this wheel is?
Yeah, so for International Rum Day, we are doing a limited menu, all rum cocktails. With the wheel, each time you order one of them, you get a free spin. You can win like 10% off your bill, a free cocktail. So give it a go. See what
All right, let's see what we got.
I was so impressed with this place. I can't wait to see more.
Wow, the residence was really nice, and I think that was a great place to start our tour. Now we're going to our second stop, which is the apothecary. So to pull this concept off, Mr. Fogg's has to be visually interesting, has to have really good food, and it has to have extremely creative drinks. Let's see how they pull that off in the apothecary.
Each Mr. Fogg's has a different drink selection that fits the pub's theme. I think the apothecary's menu is the most creative.
The apothecary highlights Fogg's collection of remedies and tonics that he collected from around the world.
And just like a pharmacist, the apothecary's experts like Maria mastered the art of creating accurately mixed and measured potions. This is the Quack's compound. And in my opinion, this was about as fun to watch being made as it was to drink.
With all the amazing creativity that goes into the drinks at Mr. Fogg's, it's the perfect place to order something that you might not normally order. Like the Scarlet Drop. It's Scotch and it's got a fruity flavor to it. It's really amazing.
Well, I'm certainly feeling better after that trip to the apothecary, but it's on to the next one.
So Around the World in 80 Days by Jules Verne is a classic adventure novel. I think it's a brilliant concept to take all these bars and use the characters and themes and make like a Marvel Cinematic Universe in London out of it.
Wow, this is really fun. Let's hit another one.
There's a couple of Mr. Fogg's locations that are 2 in 1. One of them being Fitzrovia's House of Botanicals and Mr. Fogg's Treehouse.
The story of the House of Botanicals is that Mr. Fogg collected several species of plants and flowers on his journey. This location with its high ceilings and large windows was the perfect building to house his collection. This is one of the most beautiful Mr. Fogg's exteriors with a colorful bouquet of flowers surrounding the entrance. And inside I get memories of bars I visited in Thailand or Vietnam with all the hanging plants and rattan furniture. But it's time to try my House of Botanicals cocktail. Tabitha suggested this one for me, and she even made it herself. And how am I going to say no to a face like that? This was a pretty elaborate production. I kind of felt like I was depleting all the alcohol from their bar. Now there's some nice flair. Check that out.
A tropical setting calls for a tropical drink, so I also want to honor one of the great characters from around the world. This is a Passepartout. Fruity. Now we can go upstairs to the treehouse.
The treehouse is meant to be a bit more quiet setting with wisteria hanging above and portraits of renowned London botanists on the wall. If you're looking for some snacks while sampling your cocktails, the treehouse sticks the landing with various plates of nuts, peppers, and mushrooms. But this is a pub crawl, so let's visit James. Now, since we're in the treehouse pub, I think getting a floral-themed drink is quite appropriate. Let's see why this is called the Sacred Botany Smoke.
Another just terrific drink. They just keep coming up with them. This one, definitely you can taste the smoky flavor. Definitely has that floral overtone. It is a delicious drink. This place is the perfect fit for Fitzrovia. It's a little far from the central crowds, and it's got that great neighborhood feel that you get in Fitzrovia, but it retains that Mr. Fogg's flair.
Across from Henry Heath's Hat Factory in Soho, we come to our next stop. It's another 2-in-1 Mr. Fogg's, the Hat Tavern and the Gin Club. And look who's here waiting for us. It's Thomas Vosper. In the story and movie, Phileas Fogg wears a lot of different hats. And because of the proximity to the Hat Factory, this tavern celebrates that. So, Thomas, why don't you tell me about your site and your books?
Oh, well, look, firstly, thank you for having me on this amazing route with you. I love your channel. Obviously, everyone who's watching this should be subscribing. I guess last summer, like 23, I was looking at preparing a route for my birthday after 16 years of running pub crawls with my friends and family. And I decided to compile them all together, put them in a book, and that was my first book, which is, we've got here, Historic Pub Crawls Through London.
Thomas and I had a few laughs and chatted more about his book, but it was time for me to sample a drink here at the Hat Tavern. You'll notice me getting a lot of tropical drinks today. Not my usual order, but they're just so well done at Mr. Fogg's, I had to get a few.
Cheers.
Cheers.
So, what are you drinking there?
Well, I've gone for an old-fashioned. So the trick for ordering an old-fashioned is to ask them at the bar if you can order 4. If they say there's no way we're doing 4, that's going to tie the bar for the next hour. You know it's going to be a good old-fashioned. Order one and enjoy yourself. That looks fancy. What are you going for?
Okay, so as you know, this is the Hat Tavern, and they've got the whole hat theme of the Phileas Fogg collection. So, of course, this is the brandy bowler.
Of course. Why wouldn't it be?
The gin parlor opens a little later, so Thomas and I are going to head down to the pawnbrokers first.
All right, so we're at the second stop. We're at the pawnbrokers. Have you ever been to a Mr. Fogg's in one of your books?
I have. I've been to the hat place where we were earlier. So should we go in and get some cocktails?
Let's go.
The Victorian Pub is a London institution.
So Mr. Fogg's really leans into the Victorian style of bars, especially in the pawnbroker. You've got a lot of small rooms, low ceilings, big picture windows.
The Pawnbroker Pub's theme centers around the cases of bizarre curiosities that Phileas Fogg's brother Frank acquired for this, his pawn shop. All of Mr. Fogg's bartenders are artists and showmen, so when you order a special drink off their menu, you really get the full experience.
So I got the Mange too. What'd you get?
I'm in, dude. We're going to give this a go. It's
right.
fairly strong,
Cheers.
I think. Cheers, Dave. Oh yeah, that's delicious.
This is very tart.
Oh, that's just nothing but ginger and whiskey.
Let's do a switcheroo here.
He ain't gonna give me this back, trust me.
Wow. So, I heard that the bartender was using yuzu with this, which is a Japanese spice. Oh my God, so good.
We had a nice visit to the pawnbrokers. It had a lot of good Soho energy. But back to the Hat Tavern.
We're back at the Hat Tavern, but we're going to use the secret entrance to the gin parlor.
Because it's situated in the basement behind a secret door, the gin club has a real speakeasy feel.
You can find speakeasies dotted all around London, and it's kind of a fun way to relive the days of Prohibition. And although London never officially prohibited alcohol, there have been prohibition campaigns throughout the years. Because we're in the basement of the Hat Tavern, the hat theme is carried down to the gin parlor. In fact, this bar used to be a hat maker's table.
But there's no time to mess around. There's only one more cocktail left with Thomas, so let's go all out with this one. And what better drink to get in a speakeasy than a bathtub gin-themed cocktail?
What does that bath of soapy water taste like?
So clean.
What is it?
Nobody ever soaked their feet in this, not to my knowledge.
Alright, you guys are good. Like and subscribe, yeah?
Take a drink of that.
It's like a floating teacup.
The gin club was so fun, we didn't want to go yet. One more.
So, Thomas, I want to tell you how much I appreciate you joining me for this. Where can these fine people find you?
Oh, well, if you just search for Historic Pub Crawls, ideally with no spaces on any social media.
What a great time I've had with you.
Thank you. Well, thank you for having me. It's been spectacular.
Wow, I really enjoyed hanging out with Thomas, but after a night's sleep to recover, it's time to go out and hit the last 3 Mr. Foggs. Normally, I'd have 4 left, but Covent Garden Society of Exploration is temporarily closed. When it reopens, go say hi to Cass, the manager. She's great.
This is Mr. Fogg's City Tavern. It's found at Broadgate Circle near Liverpool Street Station.
Although Broadgate Circle is very new and modern, as soon as you step inside the pub, you know you're at a Mr. Fogg's. This is the only Mr. Fogg's that's not near the center of London, and that fits the pub's concept, as Phileas wanted to create a pub for his accountants, lawyers, and bankers near their offices.
You might be thinking that I'm showing you a lot of expensive and high-end experiences, and yeah, you're right. But all Mr. Fogg's have your typical bar with the wine, beer, and spirits that you would expect to see as well. So since I'm here at a city tavern, I figured I would have my very reasonably priced Guinness and a plate of buffalo wings.
The wings were great, and as with all Mr. Fogg's, the staff was incredibly friendly.
If you're like me, you didn't even realize that there was a concept that connected all the Mr. Fogg's. But the great thing about it is you don't need to know that.
The fact is, with the experience, the quality, and the top service, all of these places stand alone just great, including our last stop, the Covent Garden Tavern. This is actually the 3rd instance where you have a 2-in-1 Mr. Fogg's, but we'll get into that a little bit later.
The story of the Covent Garden Tavern is that Phileas's Aunt Gertrude, who is a well-loved actress in Covent Garden, owned the house right here. When she passed away, she left it to her housekeeper, Fanny McGee, and Fanny turned it into a pub so that all the theater lovers could come and celebrate in honor of Aunt Gertrude.
The pub features show tunes and a lot of bric-a-brac that you would expect in the theater district. But it's time for my drink now. This tavern features traditional punches, and I definitely want to try one. Joe made this punch in the garden for me. It's a refreshing mix of gin, fruit, and cucumber syrup. Really good.
The last Mr. Fogg's in our tour is right behind this bookcase, right upstairs.
As a continuation of Aunt Gertrude's story, the upstairs apartment was bequeathed to Phileas. He decided to create a more exclusive space than the rowdy tavern downstairs. The gin parlor that Phileas established features over 200 gins that he collected over his travels, and experts say it's the best gin parlor in London.
So I ran into Charlotte, who does gin tours in London. This is really cool. So what's your favorite gin bar in London?
It's definitely Mr. Fogg's gin parlor.
Serious, so you've been here?
Yeah, I've been here a fair bit, obviously, with tours. I bring my clients here, but this is also one of my favorite places to drink when I'm not working.
Charlotte was really sweet, and man, that was a great endorsement. Made me want to go get my drink. So this is the Yokohama. This is my second smoky bubble drink, but I can see why they recommended it. It's got cardamom, jasmine green tea, sparkling wine. It's really exotic. Well, like Phileas and Passepartout, my journey has come to an end. Which one was my favorite? Well, you'll have to write to me in the comments to find out.
Mr. Fogg's pubs are obviously very visually stunning. First time I ever saw one, I wanted to do a video about it. But what's really blowing my mind is the service. It is top notch and the drinks are unbelievable, and I think you'll feel the same way if you come here. And if you got something out of this and you feel inspired to come to a Mr. Fogg's, please like, subscribe, and share. And please give me your comments. I read every one of them and I appreciate all of you. Cheers.